takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries. So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia.
Welcome back to AllStarBuzz. Thank you for joining us. Before we start, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, a prominent orthopedic surgeon and the husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, was recently arrested as part of what is now being called the largest RICO, racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations, fraud case ever filed in the state of New York. The case is staggering in scope, involving over 200 defendants, many of whom are medical professionals accused of orchestrating a complex and far-reaching insurance fraud scheme.
Only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system.
The sheer size and nature of the case have drawn widespread media attention, not just because of the number of people involved, but also due to the high-profile names attached, including Dr. Hostin. The RICO statute was originally created in the 1970s to combat organized crime and dismantle mafia networks. Using it in a healthcare-related fraud case of this magnitude is virtually unprecedented and signals the severity of the allegations. Hostin and his co-defendants engaged in a systematic effort to defraud insurance companies by performing unnecessary surgeries and medical procedures on unsuspecting patients, many of whom were vulnerable working-class individuals.
You know, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well, doctors that want to do good.
Like taxi, Uber, and Lyft drivers. These drivers were often pressured into undergoing operations they didn't need, or were led to believe were medically necessary. Also, the defendants could bill insurance companies for massive payouts. The case was brought forward by American Transit Insurance Company, ATIC, which claims it was defrauded out of over $459 million amount that dwarfs many previous fraud cases in the medical industry.
Let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures.
ATIC accuses the network of doctors, clinics, and legal teams of exploiting loopholes in the insurance billing process, creating a nearly industrial-scale operation of fraudulent claims and financial kickbacks. Dr. Hostin's arrest sent shockwaves not only through the medical community but also through the world of daytime television, given his wife's visibility and her frequent moral commentary on The View. The use of RICO laws in this case underlines the government's aggressive approach to holding medical professionals accountable for alleged abuse of the healthcare system.
Like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance.
With more than 200 individuals involved and a dollar amount in the hundreds of millions, this case is expected to become a landmark legal battle that may have lasting implications for both the legal system and healthcare regulation in the U.S. At the center of the case are deeply troubling allegations against Dr. Emmanuel Hostin and a network of other medical professionals. Prosecutors claim the group engaged in a deliberate scheme to exploit the healthcare and insurance systems by conducting unnecessary medical procedures, primarily surgeries, and billing insurers for them.
Insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
Many of the alleged victims were working-class individuals such as taxi, Uber, and Lyft drivers, who were often lured into these procedures under the pretense of medical necessity. The charges suggest that patients were convinced to undergo operations they didn't need, including joint surgeries and other orthopedic procedures. These surgeries were allegedly part of a broader effort to inflate medical bills and collect large sums of money through insurance claims. Additionally, Dr. Hostin and his associates are accused of accepting illegal kickbacks, financial incentives provided to doctors and clinics in exchange for referring patients into this fraudulent pipeline. This type of fraud doesn't just affect insurance companies, it has real consequences for patients who may have suffered complications, trauma, or long-term health issues from procedures that should never have been done.
So there are a lot of problems with it, but the notion that we aren't a violent country, this country was built on violence.
If proven true, these actions not only violate medical ethics but also represent a serious breach of public trust in healthcare providers. The primary plaintiff in the case is American Transit Insurance Company, ATIC, a New York-based insurer that specializes in coverage for taxi and rideshare drivers. ATIC claims it was the primary target of the fraudulent billing scheme allegedly carried out by Dr. Hostin and over 200 other defendants. According to the lawsuit, ATIC was systematically billed for medical procedures that were either unnecessary, grossly overpriced, or never performed at all. The company is seeking to recover over $459 million in damageson eye-popping figure that underscores the scale of the alleged fraud. From ATIC's perspective, this was not a series of isolated incidents, but a coordinated effort involving doctors, clinics, and possibly legal and financial intermediaries who all profited from exploiting insurance payouts. The company argues that these claims were designed to exploit the no-fault insurance system, which is intended to expedite payments to medical providers for accident-related treatments without needing to establish fault.
I think Sonny's dumb. Is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say.
However, ATIC's involvement also introduces a layer of complexity. The insurer itself has a controversial reputation and has been previously accused of underpaying doctors and denying legitimate claims. This has sparked debate over whether this lawsuit is a genuine pursuit of justice or a strategic move by ATIC to recover its own financial losses. This scandal has reignited public criticism of the American healthcare system, which many already view as broken, corrupt, and profit-driven. The allegations against Dr. Hostin and his co-defendants feed into long-standing fears that some medical professionals prioritize financial gain over patient care. Stories of unnecessary surgeries, fraudulent billing, and kickbacks tap into the public's growing distrust, especially as only about 31% of Americans reportedly trust the healthcare system today. The case reveals a system where vulnerable patients are often caught in the crossfire, pressured into procedures they don't need or misled into thinking they're medically essential, all so that providers can bill insurers for maximum reimbursement. In many cases, these are people with limited options, like gig economy drivers who rely on insurance coverage after car accidents and trust medical professionals to guide their recovery. At the same time, some experts argue that this situation also exposes the flaws of insurance companies themselves, which are known for denying valid claims and engaging in questionable practices. The result is a vicious cycle where doctors feel financially squeezed, insurance companies act defensively, and patients pay the price sometimes with their wallets, and sometimes with their health. Dr. Emmanuel Hostin's legal team has come out strongly against the allegations, arguing that the entire lawsuit is a baseless and calculated move by American Transit Insurance Company, ATIC, to shift blame for its own financial troubles. His attorneys claim that ATIC, already known for questionable practices like underpaying claims, filed this massive RICO case to avoid accountability for its history of denying legitimate reimbursements and mistreating medical providers.
I mean, you're married. Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to...
The defense is working to reframe the narrative, painting Dr. Hostin not as a fraudster, but as a victim of a dysfunctional and adversarial insurance system. According to his legal team, many of the accusations rely on mischaracterizations of routine billing practices and medical procedures. They assert that Hostin performed necessary surgeries and followed appropriate standards of care, and that any payments received were standard and lawful, not kickbacks or fraudulent claims. In this version of events, Dr. Hostin is a reputable surgeon caught in the crossfire of a bigger corporate agenda. His defense strategy aims to muddy the waters, casting doubt on ATIC's credibility and motives. It's a classic legal move. If the plaintiff looks shady too, the public and possibly the courts may begin to question the entire foundation of the case. While Dr. Hostin is the one facing legal trouble, Sunny Hostina's high-profile wife and co-host of The View Oz found herself caught in the scandal's public fallout. Known for her sharp takes on justice, morality, and current events, Sunny has built her brand around being outspoken and principled. But now, her credibility is being questioned, as her husband is linked to a massive fraud case involving hundreds of millions of dollars. What's made headlines just as much as the allegations is Sunny's complete silence on the issue. Despite her usual boldness and willingness to speak out on controversial topics, she has offered no public comment, no mention on air, and no social media statement. For someone who regularly weighs in on others' scandals and missteps, her silence has been viewed by many as uncharacteristic and even suspicious. Some speculate she may be trying to protect her husband by staying quiet, while others believe she's distancing herself to avoid reputational damage. Still, others suggest her legal team advised her to remain silent. Regardless of the reason, her lack of response has fueled criticism and speculation, with many wondering whether she knew more than she's letting on or if her public image will recover at all. As the scandal gained momentum, it didn't take long for media personalities to weigh in Joe Rogan being one of the most vocal. Known for his no-filter commentary, Rogan used his podcast to call out Sunny Hostin and The View for what he saw as blatant hypocrisy. He highlighted how Sunny, who has spent years critiquing public figures, political corruption, and social injustice, was now facing a deeply personal scandal yet had gone radio silent. Rogan didn't hold back. He mocked The View's credibility and questioned the intelligence of its hosts, even joking that, if you average their IQs, it would be a struggle to hit triple digits. He also suggested that Sunny's moral grandstanding now rings hollow, given her husband's alleged involvement in one of the largest fraud cases in New York's history. While some saw his comments as harsh or mean-spirited, others agreed with the underlying point. Public figures who hold others accountable must be held to the same standard. Rogan's remarks amplified scrutiny on Sunny and added fuel to an already hot media firestorm. His take resonated with critics who believe her silence and previous commentary are now in direct conflict, making the scandal even harder for her to navigate. At the heart of this legal firestorm is the use of civil RICO, racketeer-influenced and corrupt organization statutes, which are typically associated with taking down mafia rings and organized crime. What makes this case so shocking is that these laws are now being used against doctors and medical professionals, a rare and aggressive legal approach that underscores the severity of the allegations. Civil RICO cases don't require criminal convictions to proceed. Instead, they focus on patterns of fraudulent behavior within an organization or group, and they're often used strategically to apply maximum pressure on the defendants. Just being named in a civil RICO suit can be devastating, professionally and financially. It suggests the individual is part of a coordinated, criminal-like enterprise, even if that enterprise is a medical practice or billing network. Legal experts say these cases are meant not just to recover money, but to send a message deterring others in the industry from engaging in similar schemes. The reputational damage alone can push doctors and clinics to settle or change their practices, even if no criminal wrongdoing is ultimately proven. In Dr. Hostin's case, the civil RICO designation instantly elevated the lawsuit's profile and legal weight. Legal experts predict that the case against Dr. Hostin and the more than 200 other defendants will be a drawn-out legal battle, potentially taking years to fully resolve. Civil RICO lawsuits are notoriously complex, requiring extensive documentation, depositions, and pretrial motions that can significantly slow down the process. For now, many of the defendants, including Hostin, are expected to first file motions to dismiss, which, if unsuccessful, will be followed by a lengthy discovery phase. Discovery in a case of this size is no small task. It involves the collection and examination of thousands of documents, medical records, billing statements, internal communications, contracts, and more. Both sides will likely engage in aggressive legal maneuvering, with the plaintiffs trying to prove a pattern of fraudulent behavior and the defense aiming to dismantle those claims before the case can reach trial. Adding to the pressure, civil RICO cases carry the potential for triple damages, meaning if the plaintiffs win, the financial penalties could exceed $1 billion. For the defendants, it's not just about clearing their names, it's also about avoiding financial ruin. Until the case progresses further, public speculation and media scrutiny will only continue to grow, especially with such high-profile names involved. The fallout from this case extends far beyond the courtroom. It threatens to reshape the reputations and careers of everyone involved, especially Dr. Emmanuel Hostin and his wife, Sunny Hostin. For Dr. Hostin. Even the mere association with a RICO caselet alone, the accusations of performing unnecessary surgeries and accepting kickbacks could spell the end of a previously respected medical career. Patients may no longer trust him, hospitals could sever ties, and his professional license may be at risk, depending on how the case unfolds. For Sunny Hostin, the consequences are less legal but just as public. As a co-host on The View, she's made a name for herself as a commentator on justice, ethics, and systemic failures. But now, some viewers see a contradiction between her outspoken persona and her silence in the face of her husband's scandal. Whether she knew what was happening or not, the perception of hypocrisy has already taken hold in some circles. Rebuilding credibility in the public eye is no easy feat, especially in an era where public opinion is shaped quickly and unforgivingly. Unless this situation is addressed head-on with clarity, transparency, and accountability, it could leave a lasting mark on both their personal and professional lives. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think about this. Also, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Appreciate every one of you. Catch you in the next video.